In this video, I will show you every stage, every step of building a house like this. I will explain all the details and nuances so that you can build the same kind of house inexpensively and with quality. Of course, everything starts with purchasing a plot of land. Right away, you need to arrange for electricity to be connected and create an entrance to your plot. These are the main things that will help you save a lot of money. As soon as winter ends, I start looking for a plot and get ready to purchase building materials. March and April are the most advantageous months for buying materials. Basically, the most important thing for this is to create an entrance to your plot. This can literally be done in just a couple of days. In many settlements, there are restrictions, and until around the May holidays, while the groundwater hasn't receded, entry of heavy machinery is prohibited. That's why the main price increases start at the beginning of May. Thanks to this, the cost per linear meter of fencing is from 1,500 to 2,000 rubles. This already includes the posts, rails and metal sheeting. Also, right away, according to the project and the estimate, we order the required amount of aerated concrete so that it is delivered directly from the factory. Draw a plan in advance on paper showing where your building will be so you can place the aerated concrete in a way that it doesn't get in the way. We also bought the lumber at a good discount. For example, in early April of 2024, lumber cost 15,000 per cubic meter. By June, it was already 20,000 per cubic meter. We bought 15 cubic meters. That's a saving of 75,000, just on the boards. For the entire fence, the rebar boards and all the aerated concrete, when calculated for the summer season, the total savings amounted to 210,000. While we were busy with all the preparations, the groundwater receded a bit. Now we can mark out the site and start digging the trench for the foundation. It's not necessary to run the string line outside the foundation's perimeter. We mark it out right, where we're going to dig. Just keep in mind that when you install the formwork, you'll need to check the foundation's diagonals again. However, after you've removed the top layer, you can take away the string so it doesn't get in the way and it's easier to work. Our plot has a slope and the building side itself has a slope of almost 20 centimeters, but the bottom of the trench still needs to be dug level. We check this using an optical level, but you can use any method that's convenient for you. The foundation in this project is a shallow strip foundation. The requirements are to build the house within the same season and to install an insulated blind area. We reach the load-bearing soil, and the foundation can be supported on it. You can leave such a foundation over the winter, provided that you insulate it. You can increase the bearing capacity of your soil, spread a thin layer of fine crushed stone there. Make sure it's gravel, not limestone, about 20 or 15 millimeters, and compact it thoroughly with a plate compactor. This will also help if there's a light rain. There won't be any mud in the trench, so you'll be able to walk and continue working. We will insulate the exterior part. This is 50 millimeter insulation. You can attach it to the soil with just 2 regular nails. It holds perfectly and doesn't float up when pouring the concrete. This insulation also acts as waterproofing for the strip foundation and helps protect against frost heave. When the ground freezes and expands, the lateral friction will make it harder to push the foundation out. Instead, it will slide. You can also insulate the inner part, but that would be more expensive. Since the ground is uneven, we level the inner part with a board. This part is the concrete blinding. It won't be reinforced, and the concrete is poured directly into the trench. In this way, you could say that we simply raise the load-bearing part of the soil higher, onto which the main foundation can then rest. If you don't need a high plinth or you want to raise the plinth with some other material, you can just reinforce and pour the concrete, and this will already be a full-fledged strip foundation on which you can build a house. At this stage, the foundation will be quite inexpensive and you can complete it literally in 4 or 5 days. 60 to 70% of the concrete strength is gained in the first 3 to 4 days. You can remove all the excess, we start laying the walls, or as in our case, move on to the next stages. 1 day was spent on doing a bit of grading, backfilling, leveling everything out and preparing the site. And now look how convenient it is to assemble the formwork. The trench doesn't collapse, nothing falls anywhere and the rain doesn't bother us. We're working with pleasure. There's nothing complicated about it, especially when you have the project in hand with all the dimensions provided. You just assemble it like a Lego set. It's easy to control the whole process, and most importantly, you won't make any mistakes. Building a house is not difficult and not as expensive as construction companies claim. The main thing is not to rush and to approach each stage thoughtfully. After assembling the formwork panels, you need to reinforce them. I also often mention that we always use 25mm boards. If you use 50mm boards, it costs twice as much. Anyone can bend the stirrups for the reinforcement frame. The rebar is 8mm thick. We attach 2 slats. The frame has a long vertical part and a short horizontal part. We take the size of our foundation strip and make it 10 centimeters smaller on each side. This way there will be 5 centimeters left on each side, 5 on top and 5 on the bottom. In this case, there's no need to do extra work and bend the ends of the stirrups, only if we are pouring a beam over large spans or making up concrete columns. We will tie the frame directly on top of the formwork. The corners are reinforced in a simple yet the most reliable way. Don't create unnecessary work for yourself, don't spend extra money, and then everything will definitely turn out great. I've been in construction for more than 15 years and I've studied and tried many different methods. And believe me, everything in Genius is very simple and at the same time reliable. The frame is completely ready. This way it was very easy to tie it together. And most importantly, everything turns out perfectly to size. Lowering this frame is not difficult. You can lower the entire frame with just 2 people, it'll just take a little longer. The main thing is to have a protective layer of concrete, about 50mm on each side. Be sure to place spacers at the bottom, the so-called concrete chairs. Don't forget to install embedded parts according to the project. You can install a plastic pipe with insulation so that it can be replaced later. Thanks to the insulation, the embedded part can be pulled out of the concrete. Once everything is prepared, order the concrete and pour it into the formwork. You can see that the 25mm formwork will easily withstands even concrete pouring with a concrete pump. We pour the concrete and simultaneously vibrate it for better compaction. After 5 or 6 days, the formwork can be dismantled and we start bringing in the utilities. We bring water from the well into the house. When you bring electricity into the house or install conduits for it, add an extra one as a backup. You never know if you'll want to build a bathhouse or some other structure on the property, so you'll be able to run electricity from the house if needed. We start filling the foundation with sand. We order a truck and drive it right up next to the foundation, dumping as much as possible directly inside. We lay the entire line of plumbing pipes in sand. There will be a separate detailed video on this topic, but briefly, you should only avoid 90-degree angles in the places where you have a toilet. In the rooms where we run the pipes, we fill in the sand in portions, adding it in thin layers, and thoroughly soaking it with water. This way, all the voids under the pipes are filled, and there will be no settling of the pipes in the future. Once we finish backfilling, we fill everything with sand. Next, we need to do waterproofing before laying the masonry. There are many different options for this. You can use a coating waterproofing or a roll-on type. The next step is to set 4 blocks, trying to align them as level as possible. Here again we use an optical level. If you have this tool, of course, it's the fastest and easiest way to work. I've also shown in my videos how this can be easily done with a water level, just a regular tube with water, or with a laser level. In short, there are no problems setting the first row. It takes a bit more time, you shouldn't rush, but it's absolutely doable and each of you can manage it. First we lay out the outer row. Next, according to the project, we set up all the door openings and start assembling all the internal partition walls. And as I've already mentioned, having the project in hand, you can easily first of all control the construction process yourself and build it yourself. You will make a minimal number of mistakes. Also, by having an estimate for the project, you'll save a lot of money right from the purchase of building materials. And laying the first row will take you 2 to 3 days. After that, the entire first row needs to be reinforced together with the interior walls. You can do this with a manual wall chaser. Attach a board and run it along the board to keep it straight. Physically, of course, this kind of work is labor intensive. The easiest way is to use a circular saw. It cuts aerated concrete effortlessly. One blade is enough to build the entire house. I'll also mention right away that if you moisten the blocks, there will be almost no dust. A bit later I'll show you this method. Cut 2 lines to the depth you need. Everything breaks off easily. After that, you can simply take out all these excess pieces, collect them and immediately throw them into construction waste. Gather them in a bag. This method is really simple and easy. You hardly use any effort for this work. You can reinforce the entire first row in just 1 day, and you immediately make a groove of the width and depth you need. As for the dust residue, look, there are several options. You can either simply sweep up all the leftovers or the most interesting option. You use a construction vacuum cleaner to collect everything, or before applying the adhesive, you just thoroughly moisten these grooves. Once the first row is reinforced, you can move on to the floor. We are making floors on the ground. In our case, these are floors supported by the foundation. We moistened the sand with water, didn't compact it too much, leveled it out, and laid down the insulation. No additional waterproofing options are needed here. The insulation itself will serve as waterproofing, so only insulation is used. Next comes reinforcement, using a single row of 10mm rebar. We place spacers to lift the rebar off the insulation and then pour everything with concrete. You can pour the entire house at once. We divided the house into 2 sections. Don't forget to install the damping tape along all the walls. We use M250 grade concrete. If you are pouring in the summer and it's very hot, it's best to order and do this work closer to the evening. With 2 people, all this work takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. By evening, the sun starts to set, the concrete doesn't set as quickly, and there won't be micro cracks. As you can see, leveling the concrete is not difficult at all. For this, we use a regular 110mm plumbing pipe. Simply attach a handle to it with self-tapping screws, fill the ends of the pipe with something, and seal them with foam so that concrete doesn't get inside. And that's it, it's ready. An excellent tool. And yet people will ask you for tens of thousands of rubles for this job that takes just a few hours. And they'll tell you, well, we'll bring a special vibrating screed. Once the concrete floor is poured, it becomes even easier to work because doing masonry inside will be more comfortable. We worked on the wall masonry in parallel and also prepared the second part of the house for pouring the floor. You can see for yourself that yes, of course, construction takes time and effort. But you can also see that there's nothing complicated about it. Everything can be solved, any issue, you can come up with any tool you need. And in general, there are a lot of interesting and simple solutions in construction. If you have the desire, you just need to get started and take action. Don't just sit on the couch and dream about something, right? Take the initiative into your own hands and make your dream come true, to have your own country house. We laid 4 rows of blocks, and just like before, we used the circular saw to make cuts and prepare them for reinforcement. Here, as promised, I'm showing that if the blocks are wet, there's practically no dust at all. And we carry out the same work as with the first row. The 4th row is for the windowsills. Here, according to the project, we will already be setting up the window openings. And the next reinforcement will be the reinforced concrete belt. So we reinforce the first row, the 4th row, which goes directly under the windows, and the next one, which is the reinforced concrete belt. First, we fill the groove with a bit of adhesive. Then we press the rebar in and cover it with adhesive on top as well. All the following rows are now being built with windows. The window openings are already in place. Above the small windows, the blocks can simply be glued together. No partitions are needed here, there's no need to pour any concrete, and these blocks don't need to be reinforced. On top of them, you either lay more rows of blocks, or you install a reinforced concrete belt that ties everything together. But window and door openings are a completely different matter. Here, we will be making the lintels ourselves. The blocks are glued together using regular assembly or adhesive foam. The best option is to set them vertically like this, apply the adhesive, and then attach the next blocks on top. One day is literally enough. The next day you can already move on to the next stage of work. I've decided to run an experiment for you to see how strong this is and whether you can really trust such lintels. And from you, a like and a subscription if you haven't subscribed yet. This is our span, basically, right over the kitchen. And now let's see how it holds up, without any rebar. The main thing is just not to fall. Otherwise, it's not a problem. Rebar. There's no rebar. It easily holds 93 kilograms. Come on, let's do it together. Let's do it together, I'm saying now. It won't hold both of us. Come on, it's fine, go ahead. This is an experiment. We need to do it. Completely honestly. 93 and 170, right? You shouldn't be holding your phone in your hand. Yeah, there you go. Good job. There you have it. So that's definitely 200 kilos between the two of us. But we still won't install it like this. We'll reinforce it some more, and only after that will we install it. The reinforcement is the same as before. I moisten the blocks a little so there's less dust, making it more comfortable to cut them. You can use a straight edge to mark the lines where you'll cut, or you can just cut right away with a circular saw. It's not necessary for everything to be perfectly straight. You can set the desired size on the circular saw. There's a special guide for that. I've lost mine. This is already the 5th house I'm building with this circular saw. The point is, when cutting aerated concrete, you won't ruin the circular saw itself, only the blade gets worn out. Now, after we've reinforced our lintels, we need to wait 5 days. Only after that can they be installed. Jumping ahead a bit, I'll say that 2 people can build a house like this in about 70 working days. We started the foundation with 3 people. Then, from the walls up to the roof, the 2 of us finished everything. Such lintels can be made up to 1.5 meters long. Above the door openings, there's an additional row of aerated concrete. Next will be the reinforced concrete belt. There is no such lintel above the windows. We assembled the formwork, and the reinforced belt will go right over the windows. On the exterior part of the house, there will be 100 millimeters of aerated concrete, serving as permanent formwork. No additional insulation is needed here, since the facade will be insulated with 100 millimeters. The interior part will be made from OSB. At the store, you can have the strips cut to the size you need right away. This is very convenient. We fasten them with 70mm self-tapping screws directly into the aerated concrete. Since the reinforced belt will be poured by hand, everything will definitely hold up. There are no issues. Of course, if you were pouring with a concrete pump, this kind of formwork wouldn't be suitable. Here we are using thin OSB, 9mm thick. Additionally, you can reinforce it further so that there are no waves in the reinforced belt and it stays even. And together in 2 days we poured it completely. The attic floor beams will rest on the reinforced belt. These are boards measuring 50 by 200. Next, an outer row of aerated concrete is laid. 1 more row is added. In the aerated concrete, we cut out spaces for the floor beams and leave spots for attaching the wall plate. There are 2 ways to do this. First, lay the aerated concrete and then install the floor structure. There should be a beam every 59 centimeters. Or you can install the floor beams first and then glue the blocks in between them. Now you can raise the gables and prepare the ridge span. It will rest on 2 beams through the load-bearing wall so that the roof is not spreading. And we attach the wall plates. The cross-section of the wall plate and the ridge beam is 100 by 150. This means either buying a beam of that cross-section right away or nailing together 2 boards of 50 by 150, joining them and getting the size you need. The assembly of the rafter system begins on them. In our case, this is also a 50 by 150 board. The attic will be cold, so there's no need to insulate it. The outer rafters are cut to butt together, while all the inner rafters can be overlapped, which creates the most reliable joint. And as I have shown many times in my instructional videos, it is essential to make a lock, the so-called heel, on which each rafter leg sits. Mark the locks at the bottom and top of the rafter, and cut them out using whichever tool is most convenient for you. An electric saw, a circular saw, or a jigsaw. There's nothing complicated about this. Take 1 board and practice on it. Make 5 or 6 locks on the same board. Once you get the hang of it, then start assembling the entire roof. It's no big deal if you lose 1 board. The important thing is that you'll understand and learn how to do it. After that comes the film, then the counter batten 50 by 50, and then the main batten itself, which is a trimmed board 100 by 25 or 150 by 25. I can't stress enough that assembling a gable roof is not that difficult. You have the project, there are instructional videos, all the measurements. Already there's an estimate, just take it and do it. Before starting the roof, the window openings were prepared. We called in a measurer and ordered the windows. While we were finishing the roof, the windows were delivered. While we ordered the metal for the roof and it was being cut to size, we installed all the windows in the house. The metal roofing is ordered in the required size at the exact length we need. The first sheet is installed. Then a string is stretched along the entire roof, which is used to align the first 2 or 3 sheets. After that, the string can be removed and the remaining sheets can be fastened. This way the roof will be even and the overhang will be the same on both sides of the house. And once again I have to say, assembling a gable roof, especially on a single-story house, is a real pleasure. Just one summer season. There used to be an empty plot and now there's a house standing on it.